They done my Marius dirty, y'all. Hey, it's Em, and here we are to talk about New York, the 5th episode of the Vampire Lestat, in which the world at large seems to think that Lestat died in the fan shooting. And there's a rumor that the band is in a studio in New York to make a memorial album, and they are in the studio in New York making an album with Lestat. And Lestat is being a dick, like he do. And so a lot of the episode is given over to the whole songwriting thing, him just berating people for not doing it the way he wants it done. Sam is back. If you remember Sam, he was one of the vampires in the Théâtre des Vampires. And I guess probably if you watch the other Immortal Universe shows, Sam's story has probably been expanded. It sounds like he was kind of embedded in the Talamasca for a while or something or other. I don't know. I don't care. Lestat and Sam are not friends, let's just say, but Sam has been brought in to produce the album, so he's working the soundboard basically, and Gabriella is there doing whatever she does, just hanging around like a groupie. I don't know, I don't like her, whatever. I think we've made that very clear. In the flashbacks, however, we finally see Akasha, and they say Inkiel, I say Ankiel. If I say Ankiel, sorry, it's just habit. And Marius. And it's not good, guys. It's not good. Okay? So, book version. Let's start there. Book Marius is very refined. He's well put together. He's placid. He's even cheerful. He's a cool guy, good role model for the other vampires, honestly, probably. He is the keeper of Akasha and Inkiel. If you've watched my book videos, you'll have more detail. Or if you've read the books, you know this. But Akasha and Inkiel are the original vampires. Ish. The redhead twins, there's a whole thing. But they are inhabited by a spirit named Amel. It's a bloodlusting spirit that kind of fused with their spirit, soul, whatever, and made them blood drinkers. They are originally from ancient Egypt. They were Pharaoh and the Pharaoh's wife, the great royal wife, as it were. And then they became these vampires, and they have since gone comatose. Like, they don't move. Now, in the book, Gabrielle says goodbye to Lestat. They travel from Paris to Cairo, and Lestat's been leaving carved messages all over the world saying, Marius, we're looking for you. Please come find us. Please reveal yourself to us. All these things. They get to Cairo, and Gabrielle's like, okay, I am ready to jet to, like, the jungles. But she's concerned for Lestat's mental health. She makes him promise not to end himself because she's concerned about his loneliness and his kind of depression. He's very, very worked up about the idea that he's an evil being. He's very fixated on good and evil at this point, which, for a kid who wanted to be a monk or a priest or something like that, you know, there's a natural, I think, tug-of-war going on inside him about this. So he buries himself, which he does in the TV series too. He buries himself. He's not buried for very long. I think in the TV episode, they said he buried himself for like 80 years or something. That in the books happens like in the 1900s when he comes out because he hears rock music. But in the era that he meets Marius digs him up, and this would be, late 1700s because the Bastille has just fallen. Anyway, Marius digs him up, puts him on a boat. They go to the shrine where those who must be kept are kept. by Marius. They're sitting, all right? Lestat thinks they're statues, right? Because they look like marble. They are sitting in their chairs side by side. Akil's not dead. They're not bronze or whatever. They had been burned. Yes. So Marius's story, and I don't know if we'll get this or something else entirely. Marius's story is that he met the elder who had been keeping Akasha and Akil, but the elder had tried to burn them. He'd left them out in the sun and ended up burned for his own efforts. So the elders all burned, and a bunch of other vampires, younger vampires, were burned like out of existence, but the very old vampires were only wounded. And when Marius meets the elder, he takes over those who must be kept. The elder tries to stop him, and Akasha kills the elder. So then Marius takes it on as like this kind of sacred trust that he has, this, obligation to care for Akasha and Akil so that no other vampires die. We got to protect the source, as it were. So, what do we get in this episode? We get a really frantic, erratic Marius, who does not look nearly pale enough to be as old as Marius is. The book Marius was an ancient Roman. He was a historian. He traveled. He got captured by a bunch of druids, stuck in a tree. It's a whole thing. If we get to Mael, we'll get that story, I think. Maybe, or maybe not, because they just keep doing weird stuff in this show for... what reason? What reason is the question? I don't know. We get Lestat being just left to watch over Akasha and Akil without very many instructions, aside from don't leave them alone for too long, just run out and get something to eat real quick and then come back. Because I think they're in Greece in this, as opposed to the island that Marius keeps the shrine in the books. And Lestat is losing his mind and having these fake dinner parties with like place card with Armand's name and a piece of moldy bread there, and he's got cabbages where his father and brother are supposedly sitting, and so on and so forth. Like, he's just deteriorating mentally. He's talking to Akasha. So in this episode / series, Akil's already dead. He's just laying there, I guess, because they're laying down, they're not sitting in this. I don't know why. And they're not marbly, they're bronzish, I guess, again, from having been left in the sun. They haven't recovered fully. And Lestat's bringing Akasha things like ice cream scoops or something and trying to tell her words. I don't know. The thing in the books that is kind of done here is, yes, Lestat does play the violin for Akasha, and she seems to enjoy that. And in fact, that I think is the point at which she wakes up. He's got Nikki's violin, which is kind of an important... He was worried he had lost it, but Marius has somehow found it or salvaged it or whatever. And he doesn't have any trouble playing the violin in the books. But again, in the books, he is a bit of a Gary Stu. He's kind of able to do everything really well. He's special in all the ways. He's the one Akasha wants and calls to. He's, so on and so forth. For somebody so insecure, he's like, so perfect. So yeah, I don't know why we're doing this with this story. I don't know why we're doing what we're doing with Gabrielle / Gabriella. I don't know why we're doing this backstory for Marius and, Akasha and Akil. I don't know why this Marius is so, whatever. That's not Marius. It's like you might as well have made a different character entirely, honestly. So I'm a little frustrated, in case you can't tell, with that. Meanwhile, Louis is still taking Regina out, calling her Claudia. Claudia / Regina has even gotten a Madeleine type love interest so that they can have dinner together and pretend that they're just LARPing. They're LARPing Louis' past life, I guess. Louis starts to realize that maybe this isn't healthy. Maybe this isn't something he should be doing, because he actually calls Lestat frantically. It's like, I need you to come here. I need you to go in this diner, look at this girl, and tell me it's not Claudia. Lestat's in the middle of a lot of other things going on, but sure, I'll come over here and do this for you. Lestat does go in and talk to Regina and conclude that she really does look like Claudia and can even sound like Claudia when she puts on the fake accent. It's unnerving, but also, she's lacking something that Claudia had. When he goes back and tells Louis, no, she's nothing like Claudia, Louis like, it's the eyes. She's lacking that spark, right? And Lestat says, just leave her alone. Just don't come back here. Which, yeah, for once, Lestat has good advice. Hooray. Meanwhile, as the band is kind of struggling under Lestat's iron fist, Larry, who I think is Alex's brother, quits. He's just finally like, you know what? I'm not good enough for this. Clearly, I'm not what you want. I'm not good enough for what you're trying to do. He leaves, goes to a train station, and he's on a bench waiting for the train. A lady across the tracks from him is like, oh my God, I love your band. Are you really here making an album? And the guy's like, dude, I'm not even in the band anymore. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then Armand comes along, sits down on the bench next to Larry and says, you do look tired. You should rest. And he just kind of keeps saying rest, 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 kind of priming that pump until Larry gets up and steps in front of a train. So, if there was any doubt, Armand really is just the most manipulative creature. And he's manipulating Daniel into being his latest fixation, because Armand cannot exist alone. He really needs someone to anchor to. And he'll change his personality to be whoever he thinks this other person wants or needs, and then subtly use that to manipulate them. He did it with Louis. He'll do it with Daniel. I'm interested to see if we touch on his history with Marius and whether or not he did this with Marius as well. That was the other thing. I would have expected the place where Marius was keeping those who must be kept to have beautiful murals, because Marius is this incredible painter from the 1500s, but maybe we're not doing that either. Maybe we've skipped that, because in the books, Marius has painted beautiful murals on the shrine walls for Akasha and Kiel, but this just looked like a really messy workshop of some kind, where he's just collecting random items. I don't know. So, sorry, I keep going back to it. But so Armand is, trying to convince Daniel that he's loved him for a long time, that he's been following him for decades, which may or may not be true. A lot of that information is stuff that Armand could have picked up from Daniel's thoughts at one point or another. Even if now they can't communicate telepathically, it seems like any time before Daniel was a vampire, Armand could have gathered a certain amount of information from Daniel's thoughts. He didn't necessarily actually have to be following Daniel around. But anyway, yes, Lestat goes in and sees Regina in the cafe and then goes and writes a song about her stained glass eyes. And it's a kind of this raw ballady song. And also the band, minus Larry, who has left, all beg to be turned into vampires because Gabriella's Make More campaign is still going strong. And I guess we're supposed to assume that he does turn his bandmates into vampires, excepting Larry. I don't know. And I don't know if Armand kills Larry because he needs to isolate Alex a little more in order to have control over him. It's all over the place. We also kind of, again, do this kind of flyby of Armand being a sunwalker, which, again, in the books, if you're old enough, well, you see it with Akasha and Keel, they don't burn up in the sun, they can be damaged. Even the Elder didn't fully die. He was more damaged than Akasha and Keel, but the older vampires were in a lot of pain for several days, sometimes weeks or months, depending on your age and resilience. In this episode, when Lestat and Akasha exchange blood, Lestat ends up being kind of held in the air by Akasha, I guess. So in the books, drinking from Akasha is what allows Lestat to fly. That's where he gets his power, because she has that power to imbue if you drink from her, and that's why Marius also can fly, I think. It might be something you can also get with age, but you can definitely get it from drinking from somebody who has that ability, which means that Armand should also be able to fly, but I'm not sure if he does or if he can fly but he doesn't like to. I feel like it's maybe he doesn't like to, which sounds like Armand. He wouldn't want to just fly of his own accord. He wouldn't enjoy that. That I can believe. If you've read the books and you remember, let me know. But the dark gift is different for everyone, as they like to say, and kind of people get different abilities, but then also you can level up with age. You can level up by drinking from somebody who has, more strength than you or abilities than you. It's kind of video gamey in that way. I don't know. There should be a video game of this, right? I overall am just kind of, well, as I said, frustrated, I guess, with these changes, especially to characters that I've always really liked. Marius is one of my favorites in the books, and, even though I never, super attached to Gabrielle, I could at least respect and like her in the books, and I just cannot stand this version of her. I don't know. I don't know why they made these changes. I keep hoping there'll be a payoff for these changes. There'll be a reason that they did them. It'll become evident over time. Oh, this is why they did it this way, and it makes more sense, and it works better for some reason. But I can't fathom a reason to make Marius this person. Instead of being just very zen, he's all over the friggin' place, and in the book he does have to tell Lestat to get out of the shrine at one point when Akasha starts to kind of get wild, but it's not because he's angry at Lestat. He's just worried about the effect that Lestat is having on Akasha. He knows he needs to keep Akasha safe. He wants to protect Lestat as well, so it's with good intentions and not with really anger. Marius is very, very difficult to make angry in the books. He's just, I don't know, he's one of those people he's lived long enough to know that there are very few things that require that level of intensity, I guess. I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm going to keep watching. How many episodes are there? 8, maybe? I will be out of the country, so I won't see the next episode right away because I don't get back until Sunday night, and I assume there's going to be a day or two that I'm going to need to get stuff done before I can sit down and watch it. But I'll try and catch up as soon as I can, and until then, until we get another fun installment of the Vampire Lestat, either on TV or on this channel, take care.